people, my name's Nicole and today I have my April wrap-up for you guys. So I read like a lot in April, so I just want to jump right in, and I'm gonna talk kind of fast so this video doesn't get like crazy long, which it's probably gonna be anyway. Sorry. So the first book I read this month was As I Descended by Robin Talley, and this is a modern queer retelling of Macbeth, which sounded awesome. The premise was like 99% of what drew me in. I've heard things about Robin Talley's writing, but in execution it was kind of meh. I appreciated the sort of modernizations that were made, the queering of the story, and it was kind of fun to see how each event would translate into a modern boarding school setting. But it felt like there wasn't really enough slow development. It felt like everything just kind of jumped to 100 real fast. The characters just went from like normal teenagers to these insane like murderers way too fast. It felt like there wasn't enough normal beforehand so that I could really connect with the characters and then properly feel the stress and emotions when they went super dark and started dying. So I didn't hate this book. It was a lot of fun to read, but I just had a lot of issues with the execution. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. The next book I read was Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett, and this was super cute. I actually have a full video review for this, which I will link in the doobly-doo, so you can check that out for more detailed thoughts. But basically, this was just a really cute summer romance. I think it's a lot of fun. Definitely recommend picking it up. The relationship is a great sort of hate to love kind of thing, and if you love old movies, there's a big plot line about the two main characters bonding over that. So it's just really cute, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. Then I read Voice Rolls by Margaret Stoll, and I actually got this signed at an event that I went to that she had with Melissa de la Cruz. I enjoyed this. I didn't love it. It was definitely a lot of fun to read. This may be the most fun book I've read all month. The whole book is parodying those sort of Kardashian type reality shows. It reminded me a little bit in some elements of Something Real by Heather Demetrios. Both of them are focusing on the teenage daughter in reality show families, although that book focuses more on sort of a TLC type reality show, while this one is more Kardashian, a lot more Hollywood. But it is sort of a fun behind the scenes look at Hollywood culture and what it's like to live in this such a surreal place. Most of the main characters I enjoyed. A few characters I felt like fell a little flat, and then I had sort of mixed feelings about the various plot twists. Some of them I thought were really entertaining and really just surprising good plot twists, and some of them I could call a mile away. So overall I liked this, but it didn't absolutely blow me away, but I definitely think it's a lot of fun and worth picking up if you want like a fun summer read. So I give it 3.75 stars. Then I read The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, and this is one of those books that like I've been meaning to read this for forever, and I finally was in like just the right mood to read this, and I loved it. It was great. It's Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's one of those things that I have grown up watching the movies. My parents are huge Lord of the Rings nerds, and so I like literally cannot remember a time before Lord of the Rings was in my life. And so I finally decided I needed to get around to reading this, and it was a lot of fun. It was very entertaining, sort of picking out the differences between the book and the movie, since I know the movies so well. I was actually kind of surprised at how accurate the movie was. I expected it to be way further off, although I think my main issue that I had with the book was the pacing was just really weird. Basically, it would be like 30 pages of just hobbits lost in the woods, 1 page of holy shit, there's a fight going on, someone just got stabbed, and then another 30 pages of being lost in the woods. The pacing was just so weird. There was so much time spent talking about just like backpacking through the woods and so little time spent on the actual action. It was just kind of strange. I still very much enjoyed it, so I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Not If I See You First by Eric Lindstrom, and I enjoyed this. I didn't love it. I didn't get super connected to the characters, but I did think it was interesting reading from the point of view of someone who is blind. That's not something I've ever read before in a book, so it was great to read from that perspective. It is, however, not own voices, so I'm not quite sure how much of it is an accurate representation. This is one of those moments where I'm really wishing that I'd written a Goodreads review for this, because I honestly don't remember any big lasting impact that it had on me. I think it was relatively positive, but like I don't really remember why the relationship between the two main characters, if I recall, was cute, but not like knock your socks off. So I liked it. I ended up giving it 3.75 stars, so that's, you know, generally positive. Then I read Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith, and I have a full video review for this, which I will link in the doobly-doo. Basically, I loved this. It was super, super cute. I've loved Jennifer E. Smith's other books, and so I was really, really excited to get an arc of this. This was sent to me by Penguin Teen, so thank you so much, Penguin, for sending me this. I think that the romance in this was really, really well developed. It was a great friends to lovers kind of thing, and it was fun to explore the hypothetical concept that I feel like we've all at times sort of fantasized about. You know, what would happen if I suddenly won several $1,000,000? It was just a fun read, and it got deeper and more emotional than I expected in a really, really great way. So I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. Then I read Teaching My Mother How to Give Birth by Warsan Shire, and this, I liked it. I didn't absolutely love it, mostly because I just didn't really emotionally connect to some of the poems, because a lot of them are about experiences that I just don't have, about sort of motherhood and blackness, and that's not things that I've lived through. But there were a few that I really connected with, and the writing style in general is beautiful, so I ended up giving it 4 stars. Then I read The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli, and I also have a solo video for this one. I was kind of on a bit of a roll for making video reviews for books this month, so I'm kind of proud of myself. Anyway, I absolutely loved this. I mean, Simon is one of my all-time faves, so it's absolutely no surprise that I loved this one as well. Becky Albertalli is amazing. Seriously, she's so great. I want to be her best friend. This had adorable romance and phenomenal representation of so many different, diverse, like, aspects. There were really great queer characters, and characters of color, and characters of diverse body types, and characters of varying religions, and it was just so good. Literally everything about it was wonderful. Yeah, I talk about it in more detail in my full video review, so you can check that out. But basically, I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Geekerella by Ashley Poston, and this was another one that was a lot of fun. This is a modern Cinderella retelling. The fandom aspect was so great. I love seeing fandom represented in books. I think it's a lot of fun. The whole cast of characters was great. A lot of the characters turned out to be way better rounded than I expected. And then the 2 main characters, their relationship was great. So cute, and what a great like development, and it used that trope that I love, the like people accidentally texting the wrong number and then falling in love with the person. It like seems like a weirdly specific trope, but I've seen it in a number of things, and I really, really, really enjoy it. I really, really enjoyed pretty much all of this. It wasn't like rip your heart out soul connection kind of thing, but it did have some really great like emotional moments, and like I said, I really enjoyed it, so I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. Then I read How to Repair a Mechanical Heart by J.C. Lillis, and this is another great fandom based one. This one is slightly more queer than Geekerella, and it also addressed the topic of religion, which is not something I expected going in, and it's not something I typically read about. I have my own sort of emotional baggage in relation to religion, but I really appreciated sort of the discussion of specifically religion in relation to queerness in this. One of the characters is struggling with the fact that he's gay, but also he's been raised Catholic, and so he has to figure out how to sort of reconcile those two. It played into a couple of the tropes that I just really, really love, and the characters, watching them fall in love was amazing, and I also had a lot of fun watching the characters try and work through the debate that is forever going on in pretty much every fandom, and that is whether or not anyone's particular ship is canon. I know that there have been a lot of discussions in fandoms I either am in or have been in the past about whether 2 particular characters actually, you know, did something about the fact that, at least according to the fans, they're so obviously in love with each other. And so it was fun trying to see sort of a bit of the ship wars and just the debate about that, because it's one of those things that, like, I've 100% been there before. So I just really loved this. I ended up giving it 5 stars. Then I read Born to Love, Cursed to Feel by Samantha King, and I enjoyed this. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I expected to. I've heard a lot of really amazing things about this, and I just kind of enjoyed it. I mean, I did tab a good number of things in here, but I feel like a lot of the poems were about like really bad breakups, and I haven't been through a really bad breakup in a while. I mean, none of my breakups have ever been like really bad, so I just couldn't really emotionally connect to a lot of the poems, which, at least for me, is really important while reading poetry. So I recognize the authorial prowess, I guess, of Samantha King, but it didn't personally work for me. So I ended up giving it 3.75 stars. Then I read, or tried to read, Roseblood by A.G. Howard. I had high hopes for, okay, I didn't have like super high hopes for this book. It was an Owl Crate book, so I did like have hopes for it, but like going in, I kind of knew it would probably be a bit of a trashy romance. I mean that in a loving, endearing way. But it just, it fell into so many cliches so quickly. I mean, I only got like 50 pages into it before I had to DNF it. But already we'd gotten the strange sort of average girl who doesn't know she's beautiful with a magical talent that she never had to work for but makes her better than literally everyone else. The mysterious soulmate, the quirky offbeat best friend, bitchy queen bee, blonde, of course. It was just so much, and I couldn't do it. I really tried. I was really hoping that it would be cool. I've never actually read Phantom of the Opera or seen it, but I mean, I've heard so much about it. So I thought that this would be a lot of fun, and like there's a lot of music about it, like in it, and I just couldn't do it. I ended up giving it 2 stars. Maybe it was just the mood I was in, but I could not do it. Then I read Rain Rain by Anna M. Martin, and I didn't realize until I was like halfway through this, but Anna M. Martin actually wrote one of my favorite book series when I was a kid, the Doll People series. I don't know, that's not like a review related thing, it was just a fun thing that I recognized. Anyway, this book was really interesting because it's written from the point of view of a 8-year-old autistic girl. Because I'm not autistic, I can't speak to the quality of the representation, but it was really interesting because the writing style, it very much sounds like the voice of a child. It sounds like a kid is writing it. And I mean, obviously it's a very talented child, but it's something about the way that the sentences are structured in a very sort of simple way, and the way that the story is laid out, sort of piece to piece to piece, it feels very childlike in a really well done way. I do want to give a quick trigger warning. The R slur is used in this a couple times, and there's some abusive type behavior from the father. It never gets super graphic, but the behavior is there, and there's also some ableism from the people around the main character. So the story format, the story structure is fairly simple, again, because like I said, it's told from the point of view of this child, but I think that it works really well. I think it's really effective for what it's trying to do, so I ended up giving it 4 stars. Then I read I Am More Than a Daydream by Jenny Cecilia, and I remember while I was reading her previous book, I thought that some of her poems could just be a little bit sharper, and I think that this did that perfectly. I ended up tabbing like almost every other poem in this book. It was so great. A number of the poems were still kind of and the message was a little bit cliche, but I did really enjoy this, so I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. Then I read Steven Universe Volume 1, and this is the sort of comic version of Steven Universe, and I enjoyed this, but I didn't love it as much as I love the show. This is kind of divided up into sections that are basically each their own mini episode, but it didn't feel like there was as much character development. I don't know, each episode didn't really feel as strong as the TV episodes. Maybe that's just because they didn't want to do too much character development or plot overall plot development in the comic, because they didn't want people to have to read the comic in order to watch the TV show, but it was enjoyable, but kind of eh. I think it's one of those things that maybe is more aimed at like the kids who like the show, probably. I think it would be more enjoyable for them, but for me, I just kind of, if it was enjoyable but nothing, I don't know, is special, so I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. Then I read Not Otherwise Specified by Hannah Moskowitz, and first of all, huge trigger warnings in this. A number of the main characters have eating disorders that they're struggling with throughout the entire book. There is a lot of biphobia, although it's called out throughout the book. It's not like accepted biphobia, but it's there. And then also the D-slur in regards to lesbians is used frequently, and it's used sort of in a reclaimed sense, but it is there. But overall, I loved this so much. The bi representation, like I said, she had to fight back from a lot of biphobia, which was so frustrating to read, just because I wanted to just like smack the characters who were being assholes, just because like I've heard all of those things before, and it's so frustrating. But it was really well done. The writing was great. The representation of eating disorders I felt like was really well done. How it's not just a, you start going to therapy and all of a sudden it's better. Like, no, it's a process, and it's hard. And then I loved the sort of theater representation, because like I was a theater kid growing up, and seeing that in this book was just so much fun. I can't really put my finger on exactly what was so brilliant about this book. It was just kind of everything about the book, and probably a lot of it is also that I identify with the main character in quite a few ways. But overall, I just loved this book so much, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Kindred Spirits by Rainbow Rowell. I picked this up on Indie Bookstore Day. It's so pretty. Like, the end papers are pink and they say Rainbow Rowell. Anyway, this is Rainbow Rowell's short story about Star Wars fans, and it was so much fun, and I just loved it, and it reminded me of like back when theaters actually did midnight releases. It reminded me of just sitting in that line for hours with my family and friends, waiting for Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. Really, it was mostly like Harry Potter and The Hobbit. But like, oh, it was just so much fun, and I just loved this so much. It was adorable and wonderful, and I love Rainbow Rowell, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Lumberjanes Volume 6, Sink or Swim, and I loved this. I love Lumberjanes. I've said this a billion times, but Lumberjanes is wonderful. It's one of my all-time favorite comic series, and this volume was great. It felt like this was getting back to the overarching plot for the entire series, and I had so much fun with it. There was some great character development, some great plot twists revealed, and it was just so good. I love these girls so very much. They just make me so happy. I don't know what else to say. I gave it 5 stars. It's great. Highly recommend it. And then the final book I read was The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and I haven't filmed or uploaded a full video review for this yet, but I will once it's closer to the release date. It doesn't get released until June 20th, so we're a ways away. But basically, to be sort of vague about it, this was perfect and beautiful, and I haven't fallen this hard in love with a book in a very long time. And if you can get your hands on an arc of this, do it. And then once it comes out, pick it up and read it and love it, because it's amazing, and the characters are so good, and the writing's amazing, and it's so funny and wonderful and heartfelt, and I just love it so much. That's all I have to say about it, really, for now. It's just so good, and it's like 18th century queers just road tripping around Europe, and I love it. So those are all the books I read this month. It was a good reading month, basically. Let me know what you guys thought of any of these books in the comments. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Bye!